Can you not hear me still? Hello, hello, Arif. Hello, test, test, one, two, three. Cannot hear me? One sec. Test, one, two, three. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Good. Okay. Okay. Arif, Aqil. Hello, hello. How's it going? Yes. So what I'm doing is I'm working on a project that I'm currently evaluating, and right now I'm looking into some AI assisted coding. I'm also looking into something exciting. I'm working with the Firebase Genkit, some Angular. A lot of work has been done with one of my colleagues at IOMechs. So kudos to actually them for making it happen. But I'm kind of trying to tweak a few things here and there because we want to make this public, but we also don't want to let people misuse the API calls because it's gonna be a lot when it comes to generating stories, etc. So what I'm gonna do in this stream, to be honest, I'm trying to hide all the variable names right now, but I'm also looking into uh, showing you how I'm working with these things and what it looks like. So give me 1 second, and I can share stuff. By the way, if you are working on anything that is exciting with AI, I would love to know. And if you have built something with that, I think we can also have a chat about if you want to share that on the live stream, so the people can also see those as well. Storage limit, and then we have a storage generation limit right here. Okay, so that's the one, but this is okay. We have process.env, admin password is okay, but this one should be this. Okay, now I think I'm good. But regardless, yeah, let me start sharing my screen, and then we'll take it from there. And let's see if I can also share my screen. Entire screen. Things are going to be a bit small, but I think we would be able to still see those things. The sad part is that I can't really see the screen or what I'm sharing, which is not good. So maybe let's do it this way. Maybe I can start sharing things or windows instead of everything, so that then doesn't hurt and everything. So what I'm working on right now is called Kidlytics. It's essentially a tool that I'm building with my friends at IOMechs, and we are working on this together. So this is something that allows people to generate stories for their kids. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be eating some stuff here and there, so ignore that part. I may hide my camera for a while as well. So what you could do is you could go ahead and give who this story is for. For example, a 3-year-old living in Stockholm, for example. And we can also say the story is about we can say about kids who want to share their toys if they have more than enough. I have to actually save this one for a while. So we can give what is sort of the age, the target age. We can also go ahead with saying what are their favorite things about the kids themselves. Maybe we can say trains, toys, books, and then we have this V1KK says, so it's running Olama with prompt. No, it's not running Olama with prompt. I am building something with Firebase Genkit, with the Google Gemini, with the Google model, which is Imagen, to create images. And you get to create a story by giving all these parameters. For example, here I could say friendship, and then maybe adventurous. And when we click generate, it essentially then goes ahead with generating the story. Now it's going to fail because I want it to fail. And here you can see it says you have reached the generation limit for today. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Because we are going to make this URL public when this is deployed, we don't want people to misuse the product. Well, let me show you one of the stories that I already created. So this is a story of a rabbit and a turtle. So here's how it starts. Once upon a time, in a sunny park in Karachi, and in this one I said a 3 years old who lives in Karachi, and the story is going to be about rabbit and a turtle. I can see all my prompts here. So for example, here it says a 3 years old from Karachi, Pakistan. Story should be about the turtle and the rabbit's race. I also say the language should be English. What should the story teach or focus on? It's just for fun. What is the age group? Where the world should be, and etc. So it generates a 5 pages story with the images. So here, let's read that. So we have a rabbit named Zoom and a slow, steady turtle named Shelly. Zoom loved to brag about how fast he could run. Shelly smiled and said, "Let's have a race." The next day, all their friends gathered to watch the race. Zoom zoomed ahead super fast. Shelly started walking slowly, one step at a time. Zoom was so far ahead, he thought, "I'll take a little nap under this shady tree." While Zoom was sleeping, Shelly kept walking and walking. She did not stop. Even when she got tired, the sun was shining and a gentle breeze helped her along. Zoom woke up and stretched. He looked around and couldn't see Shelly. "Oh no," he cried. He started running as fast as he could, but it was too late. Shelly was already near the finish line. Shelly crossed the finish line and all her friends cheered. Zoom arrived a moment later. He was out of breath. Shelly smiled and said, "Slow and steady wins the race." Zoom learned that it's important to keep going even when things are tough. Nice. So yeah, this is what you get. And this story is, when you generate it, it's persistent. This is stored in Firebase. So we have the stories content, which is the text that is stored in Firebase. We also have the images, which are being stored right now in Firebase storage. We're using, we have not trained, Vic says, did you train a model especially for this, or this is just using base Genkit? This is using base Genkit, but obviously we have tweaked the prompt to be able to continue generating images. We have implemented some techniques for that as well to continue the story and build on top of the previous scene as well. So there's some complex logic there. The code is very basic in some parts, a bit advanced in other parts, so to say. But the idea for us is to just open source it going forward, and then once we announce it, of course, and then yeah, see how this looks like. And one of the biggest things that I liked about this one is I could even generate stories in Urdu, which is my native language, and it uses English alphabets for those, but I can read the English alphabets to understand like what's written in Urdu, and I can still tell stories to my kid that I generate from here. So it's yeah, it's an interesting idea, and we're trying to refine it as much as possible. One of the things that we are trying to do uh, is just limiting this, and then also making it possible for us uh, to test it as well. Vic says, can you continue generating the story once it's generated? No. Once the story is generated, you can just share that on LinkedIn, Reddit, or X, if I remember correctly. That is what you have implemented so far. But again, the code is going to be open source. You fork it, you add features as you want. So you could decide to have, instead of 5 images, you could have 10 images or 10 parts of the story, or you could extend on top of the story and whatnot. So yeah, you can do whatever you want with that. So that is the plan for so far. So what do you think about the story? By default, what we want to do is, I mean, you can, once you clone the repository, you can essentially go ahead with deploying it on your own infrastructure. So deploy it on, um, I don't know, your own Firebase project. Once you do so, and this uses Firebase behind the scenes. If you decide to navigate it or move it to somewhere else as well, I think you could, but you would have to fight the project a bit because it's optimized for Firebase or Google technologies. But what was I going to say? Yeah. So if you don't deploy it, then we have these limitations. So yeah, we'll see. Because to be honest, if it's open source, a lot of people would want Olama support. Yeah, it's the reason for open sourcing it is to let people implement whatever they want. They can contribute to the project if they want. We all have jobs to do, and we have a lot of other things to do as well. So the point of open sourcing it is of course to get more contributions, to see what the community really wants as well. And then if they really want to implement sort of a local version of it, then yeah, you could. One of the things, I think, I'm not really sure if Olama would be just for local support, but the reason usually people use Olama is for having local support, of course. But when you talk about stories and generation of those stories, um, I'm thinking I can imagine it could work that you use the models for generating the image and generating the stories. I think that part could be flipped. But then if you want to really share these stories to other people, then you definitely need cloud, of course, and then you're not gonna run Olama. So the part where the story is generated, the text of it, and then also yeah, the image, that could be something that could be sort of separated out from the current flow and then into sort of its own little box. And we could flip the switch and we could say, okay, instead of using Google models, go ahead and use Olama. So yeah, you could do that. I think you could take a lot of inspiration from even the UI itself. I think we could do a bit more with the current UI that we have, but we'll see. I think for us the idea is we launch it, share it with the world, and then see the feedback, and then improve on top of it. If we keep going with a single yeah with thinking, okay, we could do this and that and that and then all the other things, I think we're not going to be able to actually ship anything. If that makes sense. I'm gonna increase my camera a bit. Seems so super small. Yeah. Anyone in the chat has worked with Firebase yet? Or sorry, Firebase Genkit yet? And we're also trying to make sure that we have the information in the README, etc., correctly as well. So yeah, that's also being worked on. Mm, Vic says, yeah, true. But for example, people with home labs prefer that. Like personally, I would use Llama, and DB implementation would be nice. Mm, just more of the on the expensive side. I am not sure, to be honest. Yeah, I mean it's okay. I have to actually see how much it costs in general, but we are experimenting with like the possibilities and where it sort of crashes, and where do we get a bottleneck. So far it has been really nice, and I think people could really benefit from it as well. Limit for today. That is not something that we want for today, because there's no limit for you have reached the general limit for this device. I think we could say, yeah, you've reached a generation limit for this device. So people could use other devices to generate, I think, because we're trying to track the IP. Um, yeah, and I also want to see if sorry, I remembered there was two things that I wanted to implement. One is that we should have the generation limit for this particular device, and then second was to bypass this as well. If we go to Firebase, you're going to see that we have these IP limits. So this is going to be weird because any local host device just has now a count of 3, so nobody can generate anything at all, um, which is a bit weird. I'm thinking now. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, should I if I should be worried about this or not. Yeah, yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, the application has a feature flag, so if you turn that off, there's no limit. But I was thinking for how, yeah, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I don't know. I also didn't want to have accounts yet, to be honest. This whole feature is basically to prevent abuse for our production URL that we will give away. People could misuse that. MAC address IP combo seems better. Okay, that's a good one. Maybe I'm not really sure. Let me see if I can say. Can we combine IP address to have better combination? Because I also want to say right now we as the IP because using localhost. Okay. What is ACCS? Is it that accounts? Do you mean? And again, this is the. I also want to go to. No, that's not what I wanted. I also want to move my code here. Um, I'm trying to, as I shared, I am doing this AI assisted coding. So I want to show you as well what I'm doing there. Maybe get suggestions from you as well. Cookies combo could be nice using something like session storage. The problem is session storage could also be manipulated. So first actually had session storage, um, but then anyone can just go and change the values there. So it's not really secure, and that's why I went to maybe doing it with the IP. So let's see what this says. I wanna have a look. So here it says that's a great thought for making the rate limiting more robust. However, combining the IP address with client MAC address is feasible for web application like this. Here's why: privacy and security, because web apps don't expose. Yeah, that is a thing. You're correct. Da, 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 da. But the thing is, I don't really want to have JWT off. That is the thing. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking it the wrong way. Maybe we need, and the thing is, I don't really want this friction of people getting to try the application, because I want to open source the code as well. So you can build on top of this your own authentication, etc. The only problem, or the only reason I'm having even this IP sort of solution is to limit the usage on my production URL, and that's it. That has nothing to do with the project itself. The project could be used in any way. So that's what I'm thinking. So it says this is what you will always see during the local development. When you deploy your application and users can access from the internet, request that people correctly show their public IP address. Okay. Since we don't have the MAC address, here are some common and more robust alternative. Authentication user, I don't want that. Browser fingerprint. For anonymous user, you can use a library to create a unique fingerprint on the user's browser based on various characteristics like browser version, screen resolution, plugin, etc. This is a good one. I didn't think about this one. This is more unique than the IP address, but can be complex to implement and has privacy implications. That's true. Stick with the IP base for now. Many applications, especially their early stages, IP based rate limiting is a sufficient and standard approach for anonymous users. Blah blah blah. I recommend with sticking the IP based approach. I So Vic says you could always make env to allow for unlimited usage or something. I have that already implemented. All you need to do is where it says the generation limit has reached. You click that, it shows a input. There's a specific password, and if you enter that, then it should actually make it unlimited for that particular IP. So I've implemented that already, but I want to verify that the IP thing works. And as it says, when I'm running the server locally and I'm also accessing the server from localhost, then it's going to show the IP, which is colon 1. But when actually this is running in the production, then it should not be an issue. Okay. Would you like to, I think we are good then. So maybe I should try this. So let's try this, the unlimited thing, right? So let's try that out quickly. I'm gonna try to copy pasta my password once I find my key pass. By the way, I love key pass. It has saved me so much time. Kidlytics. Kidlytics is this one. And then we go to our application and let me see if I can find it. Okay, so if I enter it, okay, here we go. So if I go to my, and there's a question from someone else. As a senior, what do you think? Is AI going to take our job or will help creating more jobs? I think if you're not really using AI, you're going to be much slower than anyone else. And if you don't really learn the core concepts as well, you're going to be much slower than anyone else as well, because you're not going to be able to edit, modify, understand the implications of performance, security, all of those things if you're not really good at the core concepts. So you have to learn those core concepts using AI or without AI, that is via books. Speaking of the books, if you don't really know, my last or my most recent book is actually published and is available right here. It's called Mastering Angular Signals. I think we have sold more than 300 copies now. There's one 5-star review on Amazon, and I see almost every day now 2 to 3 copies being sold. So people are reading those. If you're one of the people who actually bought the book, please leave a review on Amazon. That really helps. But yeah, if you're interested in Angular, check the book out. With that said, let's actually remove this guy. So if I try to enter password into my, and I'm gonna share, sorry, I'm gonna replace the screen sharing with the app itself. So here, so if I go and I now if I paste the password here, this should actually unlock this generation for this IP. So if I hit unlock, it goes to validate password and gives us A401, which is a bit weird. Why does it do that? It could be that the password um, in the deployed one is not the same. If I say unlock again, no. If I send an empty password, that would mean that it matches it, I think, and would allow me to do it. No? Okay, so here, okay, so IP address and password both are required. Why doesn't it do it correctly with the password? It could be possible that I'm deploying the functions, but the environment variables are not there. So Firebase functions, environment variables, cloud Firebase functions. Node.js, Python. So where do I get Firebase functions params? No, I want to see the environment variables. I thought that it would automatically get it from the env secret parameters. Okay, so we have defined secret. Define secret Discord API key. Environment variables. So I'm looking at here. Give me 1 second. Let's quickly duplicate this and open this. So here we have the environment variables. So ideally, they should actually go directly from environment variables, which should be right here. Yeah. So let's see. So cloud functions or .env file format loading the environment variable in the file application runtime. Once deployed, the environment variables can be read via process.env. Okay. Good. Sounds good. So I just need to create the env file inside there and then deploy. I think the issue right now is that I don't have the env variable inside the functions folder. So yeah, so let's do that. Let's see if I can quickly copy the file. Give me 1 second. And what kind of functions do I, or env variables do I need? I need to have story generation limit. I need to have a story generation limit and admin password. So both of those things. Let me see if I can copy paste those. Admin password and then story generation limit. Okay. So I have those now. And I want to be able to also use them in the index.ts as well. But then we have two environment variables, and that is a bit weird. Okay, but it's okay, I think. So let me quickly ask it to implement that as well. I'm going to share my screen or replace the screen share. Give me 1 second. Analytics. So here I want to do two things. I want you to use the env variable this in the server.ts server.ts file and then deploy the Firebase functions. Based on which we'll either use or not use the rate limit and then deploy the Firebase functions. So let's quickly do that. By the way, if you don't know what I'm using the Gemini CLI, which is pretty nice actually. So I don't have to code everything from scratch, and I can quickly review complex code. So now we have some changes in the server TS. What I like to do when I'm making those changes is that I like to just add the existing changes first, so I can actually see like what's happening, and then I can see what changes were made from the AI. So I'll say allow once. What is the change now? SSL. So here it added. Oh, but it. I would say this is a problem where it tries to revert my variable's name. I'm gonna say here my variable names were correct already. Revert your change of renaming them and implement the logic I asked. Let's see. Okay, so waiting for user confirmation. Let's see what changes were made. Now we're deploying the Firebase functions, but I want to check what changes were made. So if I reload, okay, no changes actually. Um, hmm, 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 hmm. But where is the variable name that I mentioned? Let's see. Um, did you? Sorry, I can maybe just say implement in server TS, or sorry, in um, functions slash index yet that if this flag is enabled, only then apply rate limiting, otherwise no limits. I think I tried to update the wrong file. I'm going to zoom in a bit as well. Okay, so what are the changes then? Let's have a look. So the index TS now has this variable. If it's not there, then everything is allowed. And then we have a message as well. Okay, let's, oops. And then we also have deploying as well. So let's deploy the Firebase functions. And now we can do npm run build. There we go. And now we can deploy the functions. I also want to just try this out in terms of rate limiting, and then also see if I have made any. I also did one more thing that was changing now. I don't know why do we have something weird. Rename the keys in our store generation limit. Enable storage. What does it say? Deployment failed because environment variable keys in your env files do not follow the required format. They must be all uppercase, starting with a letter or underscore. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so then they could change that. But I think I would say not here because it has its own env file. So make the suggested in the env file under functions folder only, folder only. Leave the env.local file at the workspace root untouched. Farhan Ali, how's it going, Farhan? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so here I would say yes, allow once. Hmm. Give me 1 second. I have to stop sharing screen to make this particular change. And let me see. Uh, uh, uh. What are the changes that it's suggesting now? So it's suggesting to index.ts. Now it's running npm run build. And I want to double check that I'm not exposing any env variables. Okay, let's see if this gets implemented this time. Okay, so now it is deploying, and I think it's going to be deploying correctly this time. Maybe we should have all of our environment variable names as capital. Farhan says, going great, good, good, good. How are you? Have you tried Cloud Code? I have not yet. I have not. I've been using Gemini CLI for quite a while now. I've heard Cloud Code is good. I've not tried it yet. I'm so far I'm satisfied with Gemini CLI, to be honest. And the 2.5 Pro model is pretty nice. But yeah, I do want to give it a try. Have you tried it? What's your experience so far? What kind of features do you implement? I was talking to a person from one of the companies I know. He's a he's a fellow developer. He's also from Pakistan, from Karachi, and he is using Cloud Code quite a lot. And he mentioned that since it's based on token, implementing one feature or one significant feature costs something around like $40 or something, which I think is insane. If that's real, I've not looked at the price, etc., and I've not done it myself, of course. I think this is deployed. Let's have a quick look as well. The Firebase functions have been deployed successfully. The rate limiting is now controlled by this particular variable in your functions env file. Good, sounds good to me. So what I'll do now is let's try to deploy our application, and I do want to test it out. So let's first have a look at what changed. So we have the enable story limit here. We have functions. Dist. I think we can just ignore them into our git ignore. Where is my git ignore? Here. So let's quickly go ahead and go with functions, or actually just go with dist. Any dist folders should be ignored. So here This should be ignored. Why does it say that? Da, 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 da. Maybe you could say functions. Functions. Dist. Maybe we could also say this. Wait, what's happening? Come on. Okay, thank you. Why does it look like this? Is that, oh, because it's modified. Okay, so I actually need to delete these files. Let's okay, remove those. Ref functions dist. So we delete those files, and then we only have the environment files. We don't really want to touch those. So let's try. Let's try to merge these files, I would say, and then we will see. I want to first push this code where we have the functions as well. Let's also have a look at the functions if they are deployed correctly. Pop, 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 pop. Da, 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 da. So give me 1 second. Where are your repositories? Give me 1 second. Need to push my code. Get status. Get checkout B rate limiting on server. Get status. We should also have these added as well, even though they are deleted as deleted. Yeah. So here we can say get get status, get commit, feat, and we are doing this on server. Implement rate limiting on server. Implemented rate limiting on server from server using Firebase. I do think I implemented some new environment variables that I need to add to Google Secrets, but we'll see. Okay, so someone says, I've tried it, $100 max package. I use it for Svelte 5 because no other model can do it. Cloud is both API plus package based. 100 max package is a steal as compared to API pricing. Okay, 5-hour session, 5-hour session per session, 200 messages, total 50 sessions per month. Okay, so one session is 5 hours. In those 5 hours, you can send 200 messages. Okay, and you can have 50 of those sessions per month. Cloud Opus, sorry, this was the message that I was looking at. 5-hour session, per session 200 messages, total 50 sessions per month. Okay. Cloud Opus access is limited. I think that, and that's the latest model. Cloud Opus is $200 for more usage. Okay, makes sense. I have yet to try it out, to be honest. But I don't think I'm at. I mean, I want to say I'm not at a position to use that as much, but I think even if I'm at the position to use it, I don't see I have a need for it so far. So we'll see. Maybe I will. Maybe there would come a time when I could use it. I'm try to blur my background a bit. Is it blur? Is it blur? No, it's not blur. Let's see. Oh, now it's blur. So cool. The blur stuff. Okay. So I'm gonna try to push the changes, and then let's also have a look at if it. I'm gonna also merge it really quick. I'm hoping this works as I expect it to work, because then I can actually talk about deploying this, and then we are good to go actually. Up, 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 up. Create pull request. I'm gonna create the pull request, and in the very same minute, I'm gonna merge the pull request as well. There's a benefit of when everyone is sleeping and you're debugging on production, of course. Okay, so we have the deployment being published at the moment. We'll see how that goes. Let's quickly switch to main. Git add. Let's quickly close the files. We don't really want those files. Dot. What happened here? Git status. Oi, why do we have node modules here? Let's first have git pull. Git stash. Then we do git pull. Then we go to git stash pop. Would we have a lot of conflicts because of these node modules? I don't really want to have all of these staged. Yeah, exactly. This is what I expected to be. That was super weird, right? Farhan says Claude Sonnet 4 is great in my experience, better than Gemini. Gemini is great for large context. Yeah, I use Gemini primarily because of the large context, but then also the job it does is pretty satisfactory. Opus or O3 for planning, Sonnet for implementing. Aha, yeah. I understand. I used to do the same thing when I was using Klein as the extension. That's what I did. I basically used that for planning, and then then I would just go ahead and implement with Gemini or something. What am I working on? I am working on a project that I'm working with my friends at IOMechs, which is a story generation AI platform. So we are using Angular, we are using Firebase Genkit, we are using Google Cloud Firestore, Google Fire Storage, or Firebase Storage. We are also using Gemini for creating a story context. We are also using Imagen to create images. I'm going to show you the preview in just a second. Right now, the app is being deployed. I also want to test the app as well while it's being deployed. So then I can even test out what I am looking for. It's taking me to the PR. I want to see the logs actually. View cloud build logs, yeah. But this was one thing that I wanted to see actually, and I forgot about it completely. I think I added some variable names. Yeah, the rate limit URL, the validate password URL, I haven't added those. Now I can add those. Let's see. Admin password was added by me, I think, if I remember correctly. But then I have to just have these variables. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Rate limiter and validate password URL. I could actually get them from the Cloud Firestore as well, but we'll see. I will share my screen. Farhan says, is that open source? It's going to be open source, yes. Yes. Replace screen sharing. Let's go to the windows and go to the window. Which one was it? Yeah, it was this one. Yeah, so we have the build done. Let's quickly go to secrets, secret manager. We're gonna have to create two variables, which I did not set, and already have a deployment, so I don't know how that goes. We'll see. We will add some secrets. Let's add the rate limiter URL. What's happening here? Is the input broken? Okay, so that's where it is. Then I can just cut this and take this guy right here. This could have been actually set in the code itself, to be honest, because we're not really going to change that. But I think it's okay. It's okay. It's not a secret anymore then. If I'm showing this on the live stream, but let's go ahead and create another one. It would be nice to be able to change that later on if we wanted. So I'm gonna remove this guy, and then we have another secret. But then I also have to set that in the app hosting YAML, which I haven't yet. So let's see if I can add that as well. I'm sharing my screen again with the variables thingy. So that goes with this guy. Up. So we're setting that in the app hosting YAML. And we're gonna password URL. So this is gonna be validate password URL, validate password URL, and then we also add a rate limit URL. So let's see, rate limit URL, two ones. Yeah. Then we go with rate limit URL, rate limit URL. Yeah, so we save this and then we push it as well. So let's see. So I'm gonna quickly go ahead and save this file. Commit m, sure. We have app hosting, add variables for Firebase functions. Let's see. Okay, so we do have code pushed. That means we have another deployment that's going to happen. And so we wait for that deployment, and then we can test it out. We can see if we really get. We'll see if we really get this. What do you call it? The generation limit error or not. I want to check it out if it works fine on production, to be honest. Create some shortcut to hide the screen. I don't know if there is something that is in the, let me see. I think there is a shortcut to hide the screen, but I'm probably just not aware of it. Let's see. Go live or end stream, microphone, camera, server, add screen sharing, add extra camera, add video, previous video, previous scene, copy scene, paste scene, delete scene, and the copy paste. With all resources, toggle participant. There are some layouts. No, I don't think so. There is a possibility to change the screens, but not changing that. If I go up, you can see this. If I go down, you can see this. But I don't see any shortcuts because I'm using this Restream IO, which is okay. I'm checking. Oh, we have camera sidebar. No, I don't see any option of hiding it. Are you not using OBS? No, I'm not. I'm right now on my laptop. So my PC has OBS. Mohammed Adim, how's it going? Hello, hello. How are you doing? And yeah, Farhan, as you said, leaking secrets during live stream is scary, especially if you have a lot of them. This one, I don't think I care as much. I can always go ahead and change the values. But yeah, I understand what you mean. Prevention is better than cure, as they say. Up, 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 up. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Hopefully this is gonna be fine, and then we can test the application out. I really want to finalize this so we have everything done as it should be. While this is doing its stuff, um, I'm gonna quickly ask Gemini to update the README with the changes that we have done. So let's see if can ask Gemini nicely to do that. So we have please double check the env files like env.local and the .env in the functions folder. Update the README with information that's missing. Has anyone of you tried this thing from Amazon? Was this called Kira? What was called? Amazon's new ID. Kilo. Ha, the best AI coding agent for VS Code. I think that's not the one. Was that the one? No. Oh, because that's sponsored. It's Kiro ID, and they have named something exactly like that. It's like Kilo. Okay, Kiro versus Cursor. Has anyone tried Kiro yet? Okay, so this is deployed, right? We can now try this out. Hopefully, it should work as intended. Localhost, that's localhost. Okay, let's try out. So we're gonna go ahead with. So this is the application for anyone who is uh, trying to understand what I'm doing really. So we can create a story. We can say a kid from Lahore, Pakistan, 3 years old, um, loves trains and buses. So this is yeah, I saw Kiro. Yeah, and also that it is spec based. That's what interested me, and I think that's what also interests a lot of Java developers or people who have come uh, from that background. It's more or less what Klein and Cursor has been doing, but sort of in a different way. But again, it's all about marketing. What are their favorite things? Toys, especially trains, right? So we go with that. I want to see my IP as well, but let's see, everyday life, just for fun. We're gonna say adventurous, and then it starts creating the images. Hopefully everything works as expected. Ooh, there was a message that I used to show before, and it's weird that it's not there anymore. We are generating the images, but I added a text here. I think Gemini perhaps removed that. Why would you do that? That's not cool. Um, Firestore database. Give me 1 second. I want to check Okay, so that's currently what we are at. And let's see. So this is being deployed at the moment. If I go here, we have the story generated. So we got AI train adventure. And since I gave it the context of someone being at Lahore, you're probably going to see some details here and there. The train also, I think it's okay, but yeah, we'll see. The train landed gently in a field of colorful flowers, blah, blah, blah. Ali hopped off and explored. Okay, so this is good overall. And we also saw the age here as well. I do remember I actually made a change that I forgot to remove. Missing information readme regarding the functions directly affecting their own env file. The code needs a small modification to load it. I will modify the index.ts to ensure it properly loads the environment variables from the env file. I will then update the readme. Okay, I will then I'm checking everything, and then also I'm gonna remove the weird thing that I added. So let's say I update. Okay, so the .env. Aha. Okay, that could be the thing. I'll now update the README file. I'll create a new section with instructions for setting up the environment for the Firebase functions and deploying them. Okay, that will ensure the documentation is clear. Okay, so then we are looking at uh, not just the previous setup, but then also with the Firebase functions as well. This is the message I missed. Would love to do a podcast with you about Google Summer of Code and open source if you think that is fun. Yeah, sure. I have no idea how Google Summer of Code works. I've never done it myself. Sorry, myself. I've been reached out by people who asked me to guide them about this, and I have no clue, to be honest. So yeah, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I think we can discuss. Uh, 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 uh. I've updated the README file and modified the functions index.tst. Okay, but I want to see what we have here. So we did change install dependencies, Angular application root Firebase functions. I'm looking at the documentation right now. Firebase CLI, functions directory, functions install. Okay, okay. Hmm. Hmm. Sorry, I'm just looking at the README and the things that have been updated. Mm. Okay, I see it's good enough for the changes that I've done. So let me share with you. So yeah, we have the changes that have been added by Gemini to the README. I think that's good enough. Um, I do have a concern about the .env. I don't think that's included here. Oh, it is good. So then Gemini knows about this. So let's quickly add the README and the index.ts functions. And then we can also go ahead with the, I think I implement something using slice somewhere, which I did not want to. 050, not really. That's not the one as well. I think here, maybe I did. Yeah, this is the one. So I did not really want this. So let's quickly fix that as a hotfix. So we have git status. We can quickly push these changes. So git commit hotfix. We had the generate story, or we can rather say, yeah, Remove the unnecessary slice. Updated README to include Firebase functions description. Firebase functions steps. And then also removed the unnecessary slice. So we do want to push this. Farhan says, I got into it. So as a guest, I'm currently working Django with Google Summer of Code. Okay, it can be helpful for others, I think. Yeah, definitely. I know I one or two other people who got into Google Summer of Code as well. I've never done it myself or have any information, but reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I think we can go from there. Replace screen sharing. Um, what I want to do at the moment is, give me 1 second. I want to change my VPN configuration so I can see the IPs as well. But give me 1 second. Extra camera? No, I don't have an extra camera. So let's see. Okay, is everything good now? I hope the live stream is still going on. I tried to change to a different VPN server, and it seems like I forgot that it could kick me out, which it did. So let's try to see the deployment as well, and then if my rate limiting thing works. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try to share my screen. So we are going to generate a particular story. Let me know if you have any story in mind, and I can try generating, or I can try to generate that as well. Let's see. So we should have our app hosting being deployed at the moment. Right now, I'm craving something. We'll see how that goes. Da, 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 da. Classic. Did I get disconnected or what happened there? A story about biryani. Good. Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna create a story about biryani. So hopefully, so what we are going to do is we are going to test two different things. One, that we are able to have to limits of story generations per IP, and then also that if I'm providing the password, which is sort of an admin password, then it should allow me to have unlimited stories, so to say. Or I could also go into the database to do that as well. Now that I think about it, but no, maybe no. We'll see. And I'm also trying to see if I left any logs. I hope not. Data fetched, data. I see some logs from my friend from IOMechs, but no biggie. It's good. Let's just wait for this deployment to finish. I think we should be almost there. Oh, there we go. So we got the deployment. So a story about biryani. A story about biryani, but and how an elaichi ruined it. How about that? Let's see what it comes up with. So we're gonna go with 15 and above for the age. We're gonna go with books, memes, let's say favorite things. We're gonna go with the everyday life. Kindness, not really sure. I would say curiosity or even just for fun. And then we're gonna go with generation. So I do want to see the logs as well, and we're going to see the IP as well. So generate this, and okay. So now let's also see my IP. So if I go with Firestore database, I should be able to see my IP with 1. So there is my IP. We have the count 1. I'm going to change it to 3 so we can quickly see next time that we have the generation error, so to say. Elaichi or aloo. Aloo is okay. I don't mind aloo. If the aloo is well cooked or the potato is well cooked, I don't mind it. But elaichi, no. Okay, so we have. Oh, look at that. Once upon a time, in a cozy little kitchen, lived a big pot of biryani. This was not just any biryani. It was a magical mix of fluffy rice, tender chicken, and yummy spices. The biryani was bubbling happily, dreaming of the day it would be served to hungry tummies. It felt like a big, warming hug in a bowl. I like how the stove looks like the stoves that we are used to. I'm not really sure about the kitchen and the utensils here, but at least the stove. Now, in this biryani pot, there lived a sneaky little elaichi, cardamom. This elaichi wasn't happy like other spices. It thought it was too good to be mixed and always grumbled, wishing it could be the star of the dish. Why am I stuck in here? It muttered with a tiny frown. Okay, one of the things that we also fixed is that we have all 5 pages being generated. Previously, I made some changes which ruined it. So yeah, one day the biryani was ready to be served. As the cook scooped the biryani into a bowl, the sneaky lychee saw its chance. It pumped out of the bowl and laid it right on top of the biryani. Ha ha! It exclaimed. Now I'm the star. But as the first bite was taken, a funny face appeared. The person eating the biryani crinkled their nose and said, "Ew, what's that strong taste?" The cook, surprised, picked out the lychee. The biryani tasted much better without the overpowering flavor. The elaichi realized that sometimes being part of the team is better than trying to be the only star. From that day on, Elaichi learned to be happy member of the biryani pot, adding just the right amount of spice. The biryani became even more delicious, and everyone lived happily after ever after, enjoying the perfect blend of the flavors. The end. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't get the point. I think I am a bit skeptical about it. I think it gets it to some point, but not completely. And who the heck puts a spoon like this in the biryani? I've never seen a thing like this. I hope no one does that. Farhan says that's amazing. Yes. All right. So we see, and you know what? It can also generate things in or stories in Urdu as well. Let's go to the count here. We're going to change that to 3. Let's update that. Then we're going to try this again. Okay. So let's see. I hope that this gives us the answer that it has issues with rate limiting, or we have reached. All right, so here we go. Error, limit reached. You've reached the generation limit for this device. Awesome. This is what I expected. Now I can enter the password and see if that password gets accepted or not. Let's first try with something wrong. So wrong. Then I unlock it. We have validate password. Nothing happens. We get a 401. Nothing happens. Previously, it used to close it. Now it doesn't close it. Now I'm going to put the right password and let's see if this unlocks everything for me. If I put the right password, ooh, something is happening. Hey, let's go. You see, the generation is happening. Good, good. And now if I go to my Firebase, I should be able to see that we have the count tree. Ooh, is someone accessing that as well? Oh, this one is a bit different. Is that because my VPN is constantly changing my IP? It could be the case. But the unlimited is now set to true with a different IP, so to say. So since this is unlimited, it's gonna give me, it's not going to give me that. I'm thinking now. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, yeah. It's quite possible that I'm not getting. Yeah, it's quite possible I'm not getting a static IP. Since the unlimited is true, then it would enable that. And we got the validate password as well. That is good. And then I could go ahead and generate these again. Mohammed Sumer says, hello, sir. Hello to you too, Sumer. How's it going? And we can also generate stories in Urdu. A story about biryani and how an Ilaichi ruined it. And I would say here, Urdu, not Hindi. And I have to say not Hindi because the data that it has been trained on uses that. So yeah, let's see. Adventurous, just for fun. Uh, Funny, I would say funny actually. So let's generate those. So one of the things is that since I have unlimited one, so we have a changing IP every time. Now we have a count right here. So see, the IP is changing, and that's why someone can keep generating the count, which again is a bit of a problem. I think we should have some sort of cookie based solution, so the IP doesn't really change. Hmm. I'm a bit worried now. Limit the cost to if it only IP based, like only have $10 in the account, maybe because it can be bypassed, I think. But the thing is, if the IP gets changed, then we can't really do anything, right? So we shouldn't be relying just on the IP. We should be doing something with the cookies as well. I don't know. We could have some identifier in the cookie, but then the cookies could be cleared as well. So I think, yeah, I think it's a bit of a stretch on how far we want to go with this. But yeah, I'm not really sure if people are going to be abusing it as much. But if they do, then we have to just shut down the application. But I'm more concerned about this. Yeah, the possibility of, or the fact that the IP keeps changing, and then we have an issue with that. All right, so let's see this story in biryani. Elaichi आंटी और बिरयानी. एक दफा का जिक्र है कि अली नाम का एक लड़का था, इसे बिरयानी बहुत पसंद थी। वो हमेशा अपनी अम्मी से कहता था कि वो इसके लिए बिरयानी बनाए। एक दिन इसकी अम्मी ने कहा, आज मैं तुम्हारे लिए खास बिरयानी बनाऊंगी। अली बहुत खुश हुआ, वो इंतजार करने लगा कि कब बिरयानी बनेगी। अम्मी ने चावल, गोश्त और बहुत सारे मसाले डालकर बिरयानी पकाई, लेकिन अली किचन में घूम रहा था और खुशबू से इसका दिल बाग बाग हो रहा था। बहुत अच्छी उर्दू है, इट्स रियली गुड। लेकिन एक छोटी सी इलायची चुपके से बिरयानी में गिर गई, किसी को पता नहीं चला। इलायची ने सोचा, मैं बिरयानी को मजीद मजेदार बना दूंगी। जब बिरयानी तैयार हुई तो अली ने पहला लुकमा लिया। लेकिन जैसे ही इसने चबाया इसका मुंह बन गया। अम्मी ये क्या है, इसमें अजीब सा जायका है। अम्मी ने भी चखा और कहा, अरे ये तो इलायची है, ये किसने डाली। अली को समझ आ गई कि इलायची ने क्या गड़बड़ की है। वो हंसने लगा। इलायची आंटी ने बिरयानी खराब कर दी। अम्मी ने भी हंसकर कहा, चलो कोई बात नहीं, अगली बार हम इलायची के बगैर बिरयानी बनाएंगे। फिर इन्होंने मिलकर इलायची को बिरयानी से निकाला और बाकी बिरयानी मर्जी से खा ली। ओके। इस दिन के बाद अली हमेशा बिरयानी में इलायची ढूंढता था और जब कभी इसे इलायची मिलती वो कहता, ये तो वही इलायची आंटी हैं जो बिरयानी खराब करती हैं। फिर वो हंस पड़ता और बिरयानी मजे से खाता। गुड। Urdu makes the story exactly. This one is a good one. I'm going to bookmark it and then maybe share it someplace else as well. Farhan says still it's for fun. Only give some specific format so people should not abuse. Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. It should be yeah, it should be easy to use, but then also I don't know. It could be based on IPs. It could be based on unique identifiers from cookies or from something else as well. But yeah, I'm not really sure if I should go too much into it. Maybe we should. I don't know. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. Right now we use functions to have some rate limiting only based on IPs. Let's try to see how much of a big difference it makes when we actually go um, with something that is a bit more complex. I want to see that. So I'm gonna share my screen and share the code as well, so we can maybe have a look at that as well. So I'm saying right now we are using this file to have some rate limiting only based on IPs. However, if someone uses a VPN, their IP is going to keep changing. I think we should have some a bit more to handle this, like something in the cookie or session to identify if the user is someone we already know. Come up with a strong method for this. Let's see. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I want to also see uh, if I can somehow handle this. But then also maybe we could also have, or I should also have some monitoring or some sort of alarms. So if our billing account reaches a certain threshold, we get to know. So we take action based on that. Okay, so what's happening here? Let's see. So so here it says a couple of things. Combination of stable client-side identifier with backend check will be much more effective. So implement client-side identifier, modify the store limit service in Angular application. It will respond for generating a unique identifier for each user on their first visit, storing this in the browser's local storage, sending every request. Combination of this is okay. Yeah, I think that could be one of the things, but yeah. Farhan says Yahoo uses device hash created from device display and other info for prevention abuse. Device fingerprint is it is called. I was working on a better cost limit. Alarm would be great. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let me see if it can Is there something called device fingerprint that we could use? I do know that the fingerprint is usually on the mobile devices that they have. I'm not really sure if web apps can also have access to that as well. But I want to have a look at that. Okay, so let's see. The only problem with that is also the privacy concern, right? So here, let's see. So we have it works by collecting a semi-unique identifiers from a user browser device, such as user agent string, screen resolution, install font, which is basically the user hints that the browser sometimes send as well. And combining these gives a fingerprint hash that can uniquely identify user's device with high accuracy. Pros and cons. Pros, it's much more stable. Cons, privacy concerns. So yeah, exactly. Especially trying to prevent this kind of tracking complexity, fingerprint JS, not foolproof, hybrid approach. So here we can say, I think that's the generating the UUID, and then storing in local storage or session storage, and then we can also use the identifier UUID. Mm. The UUID based approach is actually something that we already had before. And that's why I don't like it, to be honest. I want to see, can we have a combination of the UUID and the IP? Because the thing is, if it's the same UUID, but the IP keeps changing, then we have a problem. If someone tries to remove things from local storage, but we have the IP, then I think we could then we could still say, okay, it's the same user. Hybrid will be like okay. So here it says primary limit per user. The UID would be the main identifier. Secondary limit or network. The IP would act as a safety net, would such much higher. We would use them. I think this could be good. The layer will prevent two kind of abuse. Blah blah blah. Is it worth it? The trade-off pros more about robust security. The catch is more abuse cases, increased complexity, risk of false positives. If you set the IP limit too low, you could accidentally block multiple legitimate users who share the same IP address. This is common in universities, corporate offices, and even some on mobile networks. Ooh, that's a big one, actually. Yeah, that's Oh, engineering rabbit hole. Exactly, exactly, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. For your application hybrid approach, like over, okay, yeah, let's because the problem is the rate limiting with the UUID based approach was something that I was doing already. But okay, it's okay. Um, yeah, let's do that. Let's go with the UUID based approach. Make sure to install relevant packages if needed. IP only is bad because VPNs can change easily, but nobody go to that hassle. So on the cost limit would be great with some simple rate limit. Hmm. But again, cost limiting, the implementation of cost limiting is a bit too much, don't you think? So what is it doing here? It says UUID, okay, but what is it doing with the cost identifier or password? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Who's sending the password here? What is the identifier and what is the password? I have no clue. Let's see. Let's proceed with where this is going. And is this running this in Firebase function, or I think it's running it at the top. Mm, mm, let's see. Farhan says, can the user send custom prompt and get the response in any format using the API only? That could be one of the improvements. Yes, I'm not really sure if you want to do that is at this point. Where I am right now, uh, the idea is just to publish it, to be honest, and then fixing those things when it comes to sorry, now I'm installing the PO in the root folder. Okay, so it loaded that in the functions folder. Yes, I was saying that I want to publish this, and the only optimization I'm doing this is for the deployment that we have. So yeah, I don't want these complicated things to be part of the actual code base, if you understand what I mean. Because if I'm not really using rate limiting at all, this should not even go this far. That's what I have in mind. Fixing concluded, wrapping up, task complete, finalizing resolution, fixing complete. It looks like it's going in a loop or something. Yeah, doesn't it look like that? Did I break Gemini? Okay, let's have a look at the code itself. What changed? We got UUID here. We got some changes in the index. So we send allow true and then message rating is disabled. That's the same as before. So we have here now instead of IP, we try to get identifier. Identifier is required. Okay. Then we got into rate limits, identifier password, validate password and lower. Okay, so this is the one where we are sending the identifier and the password as well. Okay, okay, okay. Makes sense. Then we go with this guy. It seems okay. Create the story. What does this do? It goes ahead with creating the story. So story service or check limit, subscribe, allow limit reset to true. Okay, makes sense. Then it's checking the limit first and then doing a switch map to generate the story and image. Okay. So it does that in the beginning and then here as well. Okay. Follow it in the function directory. Yep, you can do that. So one of the things that I had was this one, limit reach. You have reached the limit, but also there was a message before that was when it's loading, and I think it removed it when I added this sort of password input. So when it's loading here, right? So when it's loading, what I had here was just some text which was basically here. So if we have loading, we want to basically say, what is this here? We want to say text center p4, and then in here we should have a p tag that says text lg, and it says uh, generating story. This can take a few minutes. Please wait. So I want to have this here. Okay, what's happening here? So we have the platform ID here. What is this doing to validate password was a simple API / validate password. Now what's happening here? So get identifier. First it takes, if it's the platform browser, it takes a platform ID and then basically gets the identifier key. Okay. Basically it doesn't try to do it on the back end. Makes sense. So it generates an identifier, sets it to local storage, returns it back. Checking the limit checks the identifier. If we don't have the identifier, we say allowed true. What does that mean? Okay, so it's allowed. The limit is there. If we do have the identifier, then we try to go to the rate limiter and see if we have the limit. When we are doing a validate password, we first try to get the identifier, which kind of makes sense, and then it sends it there. Okay, so I understand what is happening in here. Farhan says, if user can get some custom response only, then abusing makes sense. If not, that somebody will only, if the user can get. Okay, I understand. So you're saying people won't abuse if they're not really getting the answers that they require. Okay, I'm not really sure what it's doing, but I want to stop actually where this is going. But what was the thing it was implementing? Okay, okay. I want to let it be done. Let's do this. I'm gonna grab a quick glass of water, and then we'll see where this stands. So be right back. Okay, I am back. Yeah, it's not doing anything. I think we could just say request cancel, continue without fixing the npm orders for now. Okay, so it's saying that it has finished everything. Let's build and deploy the Firebase functions. I took off my glasses and I can't find them. Where are my glasses? Okay, there they are. Like, what happened? Uh, but that's not what? What happened? I want to go to Firebase function and run npm run build. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, now I can go ahead and deploy. Let's add this, add this, add this, this, and this. Read story. I just added a message there. Mm-hmm. 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 Story limit service. This is the identifier key. Okay. Okay, let it go. Status, commit, fix. I would say functions, use UUID for rate limiting instead of IP. I think that's fine. We're just gonna keep it for like this for now. So we push this, we wait for the deployment, we test it out, and then we call it a day. I know myself, if I keep myself a bit too long, I'm gonna be here until Fajr, and then I'm gonna pray Fajr, and then it's gonna be 1 more hour for myself. What happened to Git push? Is it my VPN not really working well, or what? What's happening here? Status Git push. Is it my VPN that could cause this issue? Is my network working fine? Let's see. GitHub.com seems to be working fine. Mm-hmm. 39 minutes ago. It does say that it doesn't have anything to import, but it doesn't work. Farhan says, I work on a product where we give free trials, so I had a lot of search on how I can prevent the abuse. Only method I found was to ask user $1 for a try. No client-side method works. Exactly. Exactly. Just ask them to pay, and everybody goes away. Okay, I'm gonna stop this guy. Stop the server, and then let's also have a look at. I'm gonna stop the server here as well. Git push doesn't really work. Git fetch. That also doesn't really work. I'm pretty sure it's because of the VPN. Pretty sure. Commit and push. Could we just say push? No. Okay, let me try to get rid of. Let me try to get rid of this VPN. Disconnect. There we go. Oh, now we have two Ahsans. Hey, nobody needs two Ahsans. And we also have a share screen as well. Go away. I'm gonna remove you. There we go. Okay, let's see. So we push the code. Now we should be able to at least try this out. I'm gonna enable my VPN again. Ooh, sorry about that. What happened here? Uh-huh. I'm trying to test the limits of restream, and it's not looking nice. Okay, this is covered. This is demo. How about we do one last test and then we call it a day. I'm gonna delete the collections. IP rate limits. Okay, let's delete this guy. Ooh, I was about to delete stories. That's not good. Functions. No, not functions. App hosting. I'm gonna share my screen now. Window. This guy. This guy is being is deploying stuff. So we can do. Let's see if I can make it a bit bigger, like this. So we will try this. Elaichi, auntie, or biryani. Maybe elaichi or auntie or biryani is a good one. Okay, let's see. Give me one quick second. I do want to share this with my team without. And let's try to go back. And I think we're going to be done with deployment soon. Let's see how we doing. Okay. Remove this guy. This was early strain adventure. We also saw that. In this one, you see, we implemented only, it shows page 4 over 4. We always want to generate at least 5 of them. That's the whole idea. By the way, while we are at it, could you help me decide the theme of the application? I mean, I know the one that I have right now looks pretty nice, but I want to also try out more. So let me know what you think about different themes I'm going to show you. For example, let's go to localhost 4200. So this is a theme, right? We could look into maybe, I don't know, this homepage and then a particular story. So let's bring up the story from production to localhost. Let's see. So I really like what we have right now, but and this is the lychee story that we had, but we also have other themes as well. So if I go to styles.css, we are right now using Dracula, and I changed the UI to use Daisy UI, which actually means that I flip one thing and then everything flips. So here we have something called Cupcake, which makes everything look like this. I'm actually gonna shorten it as it was before. 1 second. I think it makes much easier for me to use and see. So here the buttons change, the title or sorry, colors also change, as you can see. We also have this that gets changed. This also gets changed. So everything essentially gets changed. So we have this. We also have sunset, which is this one. This also looks really nice to me. So like the orange sort of shade to this. Um, when you look at the story, it looks like this. So this is also pretty nice. But then obviously I've used the combinations that also look nice. So I think every theme would look pretty nice. We also have something called cyberpunk, but I don't think that looks nice. Cyberpunk. It looks like this. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this one, but it's okay, I would say, but it's too bright. So we have Dracula. We also have something called synthwave. I really like synthwave. I use it for almost all my applications, or at least some of my major applications. I've used this one. So we have this is how it looks for creating a story. This is how it looks for the home page. Then we also have the story view, which is like this. Well, which one do we think is better? This one or this one, which is Dracula? So this one versus this one. And then we have the sharing as usual. Then we have got this one versus this one here. I'm going to close this now. So we got this guy creating a story. And then we have this guy. Sorry, this one versus this one. WebDev Cody says Dracula. I like Dracula as well. But I don't know. Dracula has this subtle, what do you call it? Like grain to it, so to say, or this sort of dimness, which really shines it. This one is a bit sharp, or I would say this one even is a bit flat when you look at it, uh, even though it has shadows, etc. But I think when it comes to just the UI compared to this, sort of, there's something about it. I don't know what. Well, anyways, it seems like our last deployment was done, so we're good to go. We are good to try this out. Okay. So we're gonna, and I'm again still using VPN, so I can create a story, and I should be able to see the rate limiting. So what story should we create now? I'm not even sure how much billing IOMechs is having at the moment. But let's talk about Dracula. Dracula in Superman hats. What an amazing story. So 15 and above, English, books. Maybe I think we should have like a story about Dracula and Superman pants. And there we go. Everyday life, maybe in space, I would say. Kindness, courage, curiosity, friendship, just for fun, funny. And we, before we go there, let's have a look at the database as well. We would have a new sort of collection created. So let's generate, and I added a message that should be shown here that says generation takes time. Oi, 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 what happened here? Not a valid JSON, so we got some error that is unaccepted. What happened here? We got an API rate limiter that is not found. What happened there? So we got our main TS, we got main server TS, and we got server TS, right? So here we have the rate limit URL. This should send an we have the IP rate limiter. I don't think we are using that anymore. Or are we using that at all? I don't, I'm confused. What happened? So here we do have rate limiter. Validate password override. Okay, let's have a look at what we changed. Now I'm a bit concerned. So let's see just the commit that we had. So this one, what did we change? We got the function name as it is, right? We do have identifiers changed, and that's basically it. Okay, we do have some changes in the story limit service. So here, no. Oh, here we have /API/validate password. And then we have, oh, wait a second. Wait a second, checking limit. Aha, okay, so here we have it. Why are we making the, then why are we, Okay, so that's the problem. This is the code that is wrong, actually. So let me see if I can try to bring that up. Have endpoints like API rate limiter. And this was in story limit service. Being used in story limit service when they don't exist in server.ts. And we rather have Firebase functions URLs in the environment that we use. Also, why do we still have the IP rate limiter? Or did I miss something? Let's see. I want to share the code as well, so you can see what I'm asking it. So this is what we have at the moment. I've given it the server TS. which has the functions which we are using. I hope we get a good answer on what's happening here. So this rate limiter, I think it should not be there anymore. So yeah, I think probably made a mistake. So here, let's see. So here we did say, yes, we have sharp observation, you're absolutely right, blah, blah, blah. Here's a breakdown. The role of server TS is doesn't call Firebase functionality. It calls API endpoint like API rate limiter, which are defined in the Express server. Then acts as a proxy, calling the actual Firebase function from the environment variables. Exactly. I failed to update the proxy layer. IP rate limiter because I didn't update server TS. I was still using the old IP limiter middleware, which is yeah exactly. So API rate limiter endpoint. You're correct that this endpoint doesn't exist in server TS. The story limit service is trying to call it, but it would fail because it doesn't exist. Okay. I need to correct this by updating Express server to handle new UUID based identifier. Here's the plan. Update the generated story, modify the generated story service to get the identifier from the story limit service, blah, blah, blah. I will replace the IP rate limiter middleware in the new rate limiter that uses the identifier from the request body. I will create the missing IP rate limiter endpoint. I will update the API validate password endpoint to use the identifier instead of the IP address. Okay. Okay, I see this. I will now modify to include the identifier. I'll inject the story limit service will be sent along with the story context. I'm I'm very concerned about. So first of all, Firebase functions, nothing should be changed there. And this should work locally as well. So I'm going to actually try to run this locally first, and then before we deploy this. So here we have a story limit service, which is being injected. We then get the identifier. We then pass the identifier into API generated story, which is an endpoint. So let's add this. So I'm approving this change. Now that the generated story is sending the identifier, I will update the server TS. I will replace the middleware with the identifier based one. Create password. Okay. Okay, so this is being replaced by request.body.identifier. Okay, good. Okay, now I'll replace the generate story endpoints with the new rate limiter. That's okay. Now I'll add the missing API rate limiter endpoint to server. This will handle the initial check from the client. Okay, so this is the one. So this uses the rate limit URL from the Firebase from the environment variable, basically pointing to the Firebase URL. Then it looks at okay the value and then response accordingly. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it doesn't look bad to me. This one also has to change. Thank you. I've now corrected the server TS file and all the related service entire flow from the front end to the Express server. Okay, thank you for catching and the OSR system. I will now build the application, deploy the functions again. Okay, I don't think building the application is necessary, but building the Firebase functions is a bit important. The get identifier method in the story limit is private. I need to make it public so that generated story can access it. Sure, let's do that. I suspect there may be other errors as well. Okay. We got a bunch of warnings actually, which I don't like. But okay. Now it's trying to deploy Firebase functions, but we haven't again built them. So we need to first build them. But why do we need to deploy, or why do we need to deploy Firebase functions? We did not change anything there, right? So story limit service is front end. Generated story is actually front end. Catch error is not being used. So let's quickly save that. Why do we need to redeploy the functions? I don't get it. This is server TS. It has nothing to do with functions. This also doesn't. Okay, let's quickly add these files. Let's try this locally, and then we'll see where this goes. So let's go to local host 4200. We're gonna go with style CSS. Shouldn't have done that. Let's revert this guy. We go back to Dracula. Thank you. And now what happened here? Rate limiter function. Okay. So Axios fails with a 40429. I think this fails because we are running this on the server. Sorry, yeah, on SSR, I think. Let's see, ng on init. I saw this implemented somewhere. Subscribe, nah, not that. I think it was this one. So when we have create story, it goes and checks the limit. But this should not happen on the server side, actually. So we could actually put this into constructor, and then we could do a after next render. So we are only doing it on the client side, but after the next render. And then we can remove this guy, we can remove implements on init, and we can also remove on init. Let's see. So this, okay, so that's not then coming only from the front end. Then it's also coming from the back end as well. Too many requests. What happened there? So we have a constructor, and then we send this call, right? Okay, maybe it could be that we have multiple pages. 4200, close, close, close. Let's try this once again. If I go here, refresh, rate limiter, 200 requests. Okay. Too many requests, too many requests, too many requests. So then we should basically set this status, right? But it doesn't seem like, oi, limit reached. But it doesn't seem like we have that issue. So if I go here, we should have seen this error from the beginning, from the get-go. We don't see that. Why do it be so? We have limit reached. Okay, so we do make that call. Let's see, it's create story. So we do have limit reached. No, on this, not on this one. Create story, no? Create story. That's where I am actually. So why couldn't I find it before? So here we have this guy, and then here. So let's refresh. So it goes there. And this never comes inside here, because if I check the limit here, okay. I think it's trying to get, let's try this out again. So it goes inside, tries to get the identifier. What is the identifier? We do have an identifier. Goes here, makes a post request, comes back, but doesn't do anything at all. So here we should have a error, and we get the error, and then we also set the error here as well, which is not happening. Console.error, and then you can see the message here. So if I refresh now, I see the message right from the get-go. This is what I'm not showing you the browser at all. Let's see the browser. So now now this is what we wanted. So if I refresh now, you see that we make the call and we get the message right away. And we can also provide the password to get rid of it. But I want to see the rate limits here. So we have the rate limits. We have this identifier, and the count is 1. But the thing is, the count is 1 here, actually. And if I try to look for this endpoint, or if my application and look at local storage, we do have the identifier right here. Okay. But what is the logic of this identifier? When it goes to check limit, it looks at this, then it goes to API rate limiter. I want to check that actually. So in this one, it goes to the rate limit URL, comes back, and then, okay. Okay. And then if I go to functions, here, what are we checking really? So rate limiter is here. It checks the identifier. It says, okay, this is the limit, tries to get the document. If the count is greater than limit, which, okay, story generation limit. Give me 1 second. I need to check if the environment variable is correct. Okay. Okay, my bad. The story generation limit that I've set in the environment file is actually 3. Sorry, 1. That's why it fails. Okay, but for local testing, that's good enough. But I could actually try to try to make it unlimited, right? So if I try to go and copy the password, and then I go to my browser, which is this guy, and then I refresh, and then I see this guy, and then I paste it here, which it's not pasting because time ran out. I go here, I say, and I want to go to the network logs to see if everything works. And if I say unlock, it validates the password. Oi, that's good. So now this is unlocked for me. And I also want to go to Firebase now, and you see unlimited true got set as well. Good, very good. Now, if I try to go to localhost and refresh, you can see that this is okay for me because I can go and check the network log and see check, no, limit, and you can see allowed is true, right? But if I go to my Firebase and delete this guy unlimited, and then I go back here again, and now you can see it's not allowed. Good. Okay, so this is working as expected. So that's a good thing. That means I just need to deploy this correctly, and that should be good. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Create story, blah, blah, blah. Not a problem there. And then we can just push it. Git commit, fix. What is fix related to? It's functions, not really functions, but rather a rate. Not even rate limiting. Okay, what did we do in the server code? Let's go with server. Fix rate limiting. So I'm gonna do 2 things. I'm gonna do git push, and then also I'm going to do. Oh, but it's not gonna let me push the code because of the. And I hope everything works now. So demo, there we go. Functions are being deployed as we speak. So it's going to quickly deploy the functions, and then we have the deployment to see and to observe. I think that's then it's going to be good. Okay, I'm tired. I'm going to see some messages as well. WebDev Cody, thank you so much for the follow. Looking at some news about Lovable. It's awesome work by them, actually. I'm a bit confused. So function unhandled error cleaning up build images. Okay. Okay, let's try to open those. And because I don't want to have builds that are not cleaned up, why would you have them? Firebase hosting images, Kidlytics. We do have some images which are here. I could delete those actually. 26 minutes ago, we could delete them. Delete 7 minutes ago. What happens if I say delete 4 versions? Okay. Okay, so I'm deleting the images from my console, and I'm also sharing my screen now to show the browser. So we should have the functions deployed now. It seems okay. And then we should have the hosting as well. That should be done. And if this is done, then I think we are good to go. I would just need to go ahead and try out the image generation to see if it stops at three generations, and then we can take it from there. I also want to see the billing as well, but let me see if I can go ahead. Kidlytics. I would say let's have a look at. Billing accounts. Want to check at the billing accounts to see what it looks like. I could also have, don't know, maybe I should have screen share. So some cost here, so to say, which is questionable. Let's see. So we got July 1st to July 31. We have spent about $7. I want to see also how much each single API call costs to generate a story. I really want to check that. But before we do so, I'm gonna create some stories. So let's see. Okay, so let's say, yeah, we were going with this Dracula in Superman pants in space. A story about story about, and let's go with 15. English, nothing here, no space, just for fun, and then memes, funny. Okay, so here we have the message. This is what I wanted to show while we do this. And I think we also have a problem when we create a particular story, we don't go back to the original state of creating a story, so we don't reset the form. We have to do that as well at some point. But let me see if I can. I'm going to quickly see if I have my rate limit set there. Count 1, count 3. Okay. Okay, so we got a story generated. Regular space pants adventure. Ooh, nice. So then what is it doing? Okay. Interesting. Regular laughed so hard that his Superman pants almost fell off. He thanked the funny star and zipped back home in his bad ship. In his bad ship. Okay, from that day on, Regular always remembered the look for humor in every corner of the galaxy. Interesting. I don't like this story, but okay. Okay, not too bad. So we have this here, and I want to see my identifier as well. So let's see if I can find it. Application, storage, identifier. I'm gonna go here, and this is the one. But why does my identifier has why does my identifier have 3 count? That doesn't make sense. So if I generate one more, okay, so now we have reached the generation limit. If I refresh now, I've already reached the generation limit. Okay. I want to also see if I can change this to 1. Okay, and I can check this now. So this is not a limit anymore. We can say story about aloo ka paratha. So here we go with 15 and above, Urdu, not Hindi. And then we can go ahead with food. And then we can go with everyday life, just for fun and funny. Or, yeah, funny. This should, okay, so now this says limit reached. Why does it say limit reached? So from 1, the count changed to 3. Why does that happen? There is some problem with this, right? I think there's a problem with this. So the count, let's say the count, let's say this is not there at all. If it's not there, then I go here and I want to go with previous, 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 and then I refresh, and then I go this 15 and above, Urdu, not Hindi, go here, food, and then everyday life, just for fun and funny. If I do this now, the count sets to 3. Why is the count set to 3? This is not correct. This is not correct. So we set the count to 3. Okay, let's see if I can ask it. Okay, right now, whenever we generate a story, the count is actually set to the limit. Why is that? It should only increase. Okay, let's have that figured out while this is happening. So I have my story at least generated about आलू का पराठा. Let's see. आलू का पराठा और मारिया. एक दिन आलू का पराठा बहुत उदास था. वो फ्रिज में अकेला पड़ा सोच रहा था कि काश मेरे साथ कोई खाने वाला होता. ओके. उसे एक शदीद शरीर मुस्कुराहट सूझी. आलू के पराठे ने एक तरकीब सोची कि इसने अपने आप को लपेट कर एक रोल बनाया और फिर इसे बाहर निकलकर डाइनिंग टेबल पर चढ़ गया. वहां से इसे देखा कि एक छोटी सी लड़की मारिया अपनी किताब पढ़ रही है. ओके. आलू के पराठे ने मारिया को आवाज दी, ए मारिया मुझे खाओ, मैं बहुत मजेदार हूँ. मारिया चौंक गई और उसने पराठे को देखा. इसे बहुत हंसी आई क्योंकि इसने पहले कभी बोलने वाला पराठा नहीं देखा था. मारिया ने आलू के पराठे को उठाया और एक बड़ा सा बाइट लिया. वाह, ये तो वाकई बहुत मजेदार है, इसने कहा. आलू का पराठा बहुत खुश हुआ कि आखिरकार किसी ने इसे खाया और इसे पसंद भी किया. इंटरेस्टिंग. और फिर आलू का पराठा और मारिया बेहतरीन दोस्त बन गए. सही है, ये भी ठीक है. I'm looking at what is the change it has identified. Okay, so you pointed a critical bug that I introduced. My apologies. Your right to question why count is behaving incorrectly. Issue is that for every single story generation, we are calling the rate limiting function twice in a row. First, the submit answer method in the create story component calls story limit service check limit. This calls the backend which correctly increments the count by 1. Immediately after, if the check passes, the code proceeds to call get story and image. This hits the API generate story endpoint or express server, which has a middleware that also calls the rate limiting function, incrementing count a second time. The double dipping is why count is increasing by 2 for every one story generated. Okay. Fix is to remove the initial return check from the create story component and rely solely on the server's middleware to handle rate limiting when the story. I'm not really sure about that. Hmm. I don't know. I think maybe the middleware is not okay. I'm not really sure. Keep the initial check on this. Keep the initial load. Here's my plan to fix this. Remove the redundant check. I will modify create story to remove the check limit call from submit answers method. Okay. I'll keep the initial check on load and join check is still valuable because it can show the limit reach message when the user first load the page. Okay, so I'll keep that. I will modify create story TypeScript. I want to see what happens when this changes. Um, let's have a look. So what did they remove? So this story check limit is gone now. So we just do a get story and image, and we don't have any switch map now. I think the problem is not really checking the limit. It's more towards incrementing it. Which is what I am concerned with. I'm going to cancel this actually. I'm going to say, can't we pass the parameter on when we really want to increase count and when just to check. So let's see if it understands it. That's an excellent, much more elegant solution. Of course, I'm right. Oh, you're not really seeing my code. Give me 1 second. Replace the current screen. And we got this guy here. So yeah, we have a bunch of issues. So here, what I've suggested is to update the API to just pass a parameter. Here's how we can implement this improved logic. So we have modified the rate limiter function to accept a new parameter, check only Boolean. When it's true, function will only read the current count and return the user status. If it's false, then it will perform the increment as well. Server TS, the express server will act as an intermediary for pre-checks and will call the Firebase function with check only true. rate limiter middleware used by the actual generate story endpoint will call the Firebase functions to check only false, ensuring the count only increases upon actual story generation. Front end, with this new backend logic, we can safely restore the pre-check submit answers method for immediate feedback to the user without causing double increment bug. Okay, I think that's good enough for me to accept. So please restore this back, I would say. And now we should bring this back as well. So this is server TS. Not looking at that at the moment, but I think finally we need to also upload the create story. So this should be reverted. I would say let's do that. Yeah, this is reverted. So we are on the right track, that means. And now it's going to run the build and deploy. Let's have a look at this. So index.ts now only, index.ts now has this check only as well, which comes with the rate limiter. So it should be in the body. Then we have check only, then we just say allowed, good. When it comes to server TS, we send check only false. When it comes to rate limiter, when we come here with rate limiter via the middleware, then we also increment it. In here, we say check only when it comes to the API endpoint, so to say. Okay, so I think we're good. For the build, I would say, yeah, let's just try to build this. And I think now it's going to probably say, yeah, I can say, remember to run npm run build inside the functions. We unfunctions functions folder before running Firebase deploy only from workspace root. npm run build in functions. Yes, please do that. And now it's going to deploy this. So let's deploy it as well. Do we have more than one? So we have Genkit, but I don't think we have Gemini here. We do have the Gemini MD that I created. But okay, we'll see. Okay, so we're gonna try this last deployment, and hopefully everything works. And tomorrow, then I have to create sort of a video on this. In the meantime, let's also push the deployment as well. So we do have server TS, we have this as well. So git commit m fix functions, fix rate limiter, increasing count incorrectly. Push. So we push that as well. And I think we should be good to go to check and deploy as well. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. It has been about 2.5 hours. And we have been streaming. So I'm going to keep it like this and maybe continue on this tomorrow. And I have to also announce about this as well. So hopefully this stream was a bit interesting for you. and we'll see where this goes or where it goes from here. So thank you everyone who joined, and I'm going to see you next time. Take care and have fun.